What's up, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with, no, not another unboxing video, but the first video in my series of Uncanny X-Men, my collection. So, as for those of you who do not know, and if you don't, shame on you, but hey, it can be corrected because you can right now go ahead. I give you permission. Go ahead and stop. Hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and you'll know more about me if you go back and watch some of the videos. But for everybody else that has already done that, then you know that I own Uncanny X-Men volumes 1 through 5, all the issues, including the annuals, a lot of the variants. And so, so we're just going to start at the top and take it from there. And so this is what this is going to do. We got Uncanny X-Men -1. So in the 90s, instead of 0, we got -1. These were the flashbacks. They did this for all of the X-Men issues. This is a variant of that with the little Stan Lee guy up there. Then we got a variant of X-Men 1, kind of a throwback. Looks like Joe Jesco or somebody with the painted cover there of that. And then we got the facsimile cover of X-Men #1. And it does seem like it's sacrilegious not to start off with #1, which is the bad boy, and only have a 0.5 because this is a facsimile cover. Presents really awesome. I can get over it because this is a really expensive book. And so I paid $725 for a coverless copy. Bought a $15 facsimile cover and then sent this off to be graded. CBCS and CGC will have sent it back as NG, which I think no good. So I didn't want that. So I sent it to PGX. That way it preserves it and I can slab it and it looks awesome. Don't know if I'll ever upgrade this particular copy. I do have other copies that I'll show you. Probably will upgrade at some point, but in this particular one, probably won't upgrade it. Probably will be with that one from now until the end of time. And so we got X-Men #2, first appearance of the Vanisher. Bought this one for about $100 off of eBay. And the grade came back when I sent it off as what I figured it would be, which was a 2.5. So the red cover really pops. Of course, first appearance of Vanisher, second appearance of the original X-Men. X-Men #3. This is the first Blob, and it's a 4.0. I've seen some lower grades actually present better than this. There's a lot of fading that goes on with this particular logo. I got this at a comic shop that I don't typically visit. Tried to bargain with the guy that was just working there, so he had to go with what his boss said, but his boss was over the phone, would not take my offer. Went back a few weeks later, and the boss happened to be there. Did not indicate that I was the guy that they were asking about, and either he was in a better mood or he just wanted to move it to get ready for some other books. So I paid $300 for this particular issue. Then we got X-Men #4. And so because of these two folks in particular, having been in the movies, this is a bigger book. This is actually the last book, not X-Men 1, but this book right here is the last technical book to complete my X-Men Volume 1 run. And so it was coverless. I bought it from mycomicshop.com for $200. Bought the facsimile cover off of eBay, and the circle was complete. Sent this off to PGX at the same time I sent the X-Men 1 off. If you haven't already seen that video, I just dropped it not too long ago. After you get through with this one, go back and check it out. And give it a like. But this is one I kind of regret because I think I will at some point upgrade. Probably won't get a high grade one, probably get a 2.5 or 3 or something like that. But at some point I'll probably upgrade it, so I wish I wouldn't have went through the expense, not of buying the book, but the expense of having it slabbed. But I'm sure that if I upgrade it at some point, there'll be an X-Men collector out there somewhere that's interested in getting a book just to have it in their collection, similar to the way I am or have been. So, X-Men #5. So this is the third appearance of Magneto, second appearance of Scarlet Witch, Toad, and Quicksilver. Mastermind, 3.5. So got kind of a higher grade, even though the spines beat to you know what. And so yeah, I bought this off of eBay for $100. Typically, unless there's like a popular character first appearance, you can get these in those low grades like that for around 100. So X-Men number 6. So I bought this from Bratz Comics and Collectibles at a Comic Con in Tupelo in February of this year. So that mysterious virus that some people don't like to mention on YouTube was just starting to become a thing, and little did I know that that little virus was going to wreck my con plans for the rest of the year, or at least thus far. And so this was the last one that I went to. Saw it in their shop last year when I was there. They still had it. Made them an offer, paid them PayPal friends and family right there, and picked up the book. So 5.0 presents really awesome mid-grade book. This is Namor's appearance and the first time he's mentioned as a mutant. So glad to have that one in the collection. Then we got number 7, which is the second appearance of the Blob. So even though the Blob is largely known as a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, he was not an original member. He was actually appeared before they did, and so they're trying to recruit him here. Bought this raw off of eBay, and came back as a 4.0. Figured it for maybe a 3. Came back as a 4, so I was happy about that. All these red covers back in the day with X-Men, I really like the red covers. And if you get one that pops, I'll take a little grade all day on it. X-Men number 8. Bought this raw for $100 off of eBay, and it is kind of, I didn't even notice the water damage, but PGX picked up on it. Ironically enough, it's right below Iceman, like he leaked or something. It's getting on, I'm melting, run around. But came back as a 4.5. Before I saw the water damage, I kind of pegged it for around a 5, so not too bad. Then this one was one of the last books that I picked up. And there's starting to be a little steam on this book because this is the first fight between the Avengers and the X-Men. People are speculating that this might be, they might take some of the information from this and go with it in introducing the X-Men to the MCU. Who knows? But it came back as a 2.5 here recently, and was that was about where I pegged it. And it was a little over $100 that I bought it from off of eBay. And Professor X facing Lucifer. What's his little tail and pitchfork? But anyhow, he does have a mechanical chair. I don't know why he gave this up for the old wobbly one, but for some reason he did. And we got X-Men number 10. And first appearance of Kazar and Zabu. And so bought this one. It was listed on eBay for like $125. Was able to get the guy to come off of it. Bought it for like 80 plus shipping. So really glad to pick that one up. Notice the little chip up here in the corner. Other than that, it kind of blends in because the white's kind of faded over time. But a 2.5. So happy to have it in the PC. Now, this is the first appearance of the Stranger, X-Men number 11. So the Stranger, a cosmic villain, mostly known for, fighting with the likes of Thanos and Silver Surfer and such. But his first appearance was in X-Men. They thought maybe he was a mutant. Come to find out, he was an alien. And this is a coverless copy that I got. I didn't pay anything for it. It got thrown in with another comic that I'll show in just a minute. But I bought the facsimile cover. I have already upgraded this book. I was shopping on IG on an online auction with Golden Age Guru. And so bought this one. So this one's going to be no higher than a 0.5, just like the others were. But the one that I picked up was about a 4.5. So I'll take it and get it slabbed and probably give this or sell this to some collector X-Men. Then we got X-Men number 12, first appearance of Juggernaut. This was one of the last ones that I added because it's the first appearance of Professor X's stepbrother, K. Marco. Who knows whether or not he will be early on in the X-Men mythos in the MCU. But people are speccing that way. Another beautiful red cover. Got it at a 3.0. Paid $125 buckish for it. And happy to have that in the PC. So this is X-Men number 13. I paid $40 for this. Went back and forth with an eBay seller and was able to get them down. The X-Men, First Appearance of a Stranger, number 11, was the one that came with this one. And so I'm going to probably upgrade this one. I'm not going to probably slab this one because it's a Bon Jovi cover. It's Living on a Prayer. But yeah, so it's a nice cover nevertheless. And for now, it is my copy in the PC. X-Men number 14, First Appearance of the Sentinels. And so this is another coverless copy that I've got a facsimile for. Love those Kirby hands, right? And red cover. This one's gotten kind of high because the Sentinels have always been part of the X-Men lore, and who knows whether or not they will be early on in the X-Men universe. So I will upgrade this one before I won't slab this one. So there's only the 4 comics in my collection that are coverless. And I've already upgraded one. I'll probably upgrade the other ones. Don't know if I ever do the X-Men 1 because, you know, you get a low grade X-Men 1. It don't present near as well as that. And you're talking about 1,000 or 2. So don't know if I ever upgrade that one, but probably will the others. Number 15, Origin of the Beast. And they're fighting the Sentinel still. So picked this one up for a little over $100 off of IG. This was like one of the first comics, if not the first, that I bought off IG. Bought a lot since then. But, and I don't even remember how the guy found out that I would like this cover, but he sent me a DM and said, hey, I got this book you want to sell. I said, yeah, okay. So, yeah, they fight the Sentinels. X-Men number 16, Death of Master Mold. Here is a hint. He does come back. So I bought this at a con for $40. Thought I was the boss. And it was a pretty good deal for the condition that it is in. Back in the day, back in the 90s, I bought a copy of this for over $100. This one's probably in better shape than that one was. But, you know, it was the 90s. Everything was speculating. So, you know, if you think speculation's bad now, go through the 90s where people were paying ungodly amounts for a Youngblood 1 where there's 100 zillion copies of it. Then we got X-Men number 17, another lovely red cover. And none shall survive. Spoiler alert, they all survive. And then now they can be brought back, except for Kitty Pryde, on Krakoa. And we got X-Men number 18, the Iceman should fall. No! Don't know if I'll slab this one because of the cut right, the tear right there, as well as the sub crease. But you know, I kind of dig the sub creases. It's kind of a telling of the times. For those of you who don't know, back in the day when they had subscriptions and these were mailed to the house, they would often fold the comic and put it in an envelope and send it out. And so I like date stamps and those type of things. Sometimes you can get lucky and the sub crease can be largely pressed out and it doesn't have a white line down the middle. Not so lucky with this one, but bought it on the cheap at a Comic-Con last year. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll upgrade, maybe I won't. Then we got X-Men number 19, first appearance of the Mimic. So, Mimic, similar to Rogue in that he, when he got his powers, was around the X-Men and it permanently stayed with him. He is not a mutant, however, and so something to do with his dad experimenting, and he got that, and that's how he got his powers to mimic. Hence his name. And so he was around the X-Men, and he got stuck with their powers. So he's in this issue and a few more, and then he drops off the face of the earth until the time of Onslaught. And so Mimic, very similar to Morph. His powers. X-Men 20, bought this one for $25, another red cover. See, I told you they like those red covers. And this is Professor X's origin of how he broke his or lost his use of his legs, at least the first time. As we all know, Professor X has been off and on again a cripple. That's not very nice. A guy who is walkingly challenged. But anyhow, he's not able to walk, and then he gains his legs, yada, yada, yada. So he's fighting Lucifer. Lucifer looks a little more like Lucifer right there. So that is X-Men number 20. X-Men 21. They're fighting. I think this is the first appearance of the Super Adaptoid. This is a fairly decent copy. Picked it up for about 35 bucks on eBay. It's got a date stamp, April the 5th, 1966, which is my daughter's birthday. Not the 1966 part, but the April the 5th. And so then we got X-Men 22. They fight to count the Count and him and all his little minions that he's got. X-Men, you hit it off with Magneto and people like that, and then they went through this deal, or like the villains were so lame. It was no wonder that they ended up canceling or went into reprints until Giant Size X-Men came around. But I picked this up from Whodat Comics off of an eBay auction that he was having. Then we got X-Men 23. And so this story is retold in X-Men Annual 1. So in the early days of the X-Men annuals, they were largely just reprints of the old stories because the comic shops weren't everywhere and there was no such thing as online. Al Gore hadn't invented it yet. And so, you had to get reprints if you wanted to actually read the stories. People actually read these things back in the day. This is the story about how he tries to take over Washington and the X-Men foil his plot. Spoiler alert! Then we got X-Men 24. This is the first appearance of the Locust. I know everybody was waiting. Where's the first appearance of the Locust? Obviously not a big villain, right? He is not at the level of some of the other villains. Came back as a 2.5. And afterthought, I was kind of surprised that it came back so high, but hey, I'll take it. Pretty red cover, presents really well. Then we got X-Men 25. Picked this up for 20 bucks at Comic-Con last year. And this is what I was talking about again with the lame villains. El Tigre. He's like an Aztec or Inca or something. Then fight him again. Another 20 bucker. Picked it up at the same place. Then we got Re-Enter the Mimic. So Mimic comes back. We have the first appearance of Banshee. This one is a green label, and the Banshee and the Ogre. This is X-Men 28. Cool date stamp right there. 5.5, however, it is missing one of the deals inside. And the third wrap does not affect the story, but it is incomplete, hence its green label. So another red cover, right? And interesting thing about all these old comics is all the advertisements that you can get in the back had the little kits for Hulk, Spider-Man, and the like, 98 cents. So little piece of history everywhere. Then we got 29. Mimic fights the Super Adaptoid. And I think this is when Mimic kind of drops off face of the earth. An almost floating heads issue right there. A lot of those back in the day. Then we got number 30, the Warlock Wicks. Oh no! Not the same Adam Warlock. This is the lame version of Warlock. Another lame X-Men villain. Alright, then we got X-Men 31. The Cobalt Man. Bought this in Birmingham, Alabama. 13 bucks. And if that's not an Iron Man knockoff, I don't know what is. Cobalt, does he fight cancer? Then we got X-Men 32. Juggernaut comes back, and he's mad. Bought this from Canada off of eBay. Kind of worse for the wear, but yeah. Then we got X-Men 33. Bought this one in Louisville, Kentucky at a comic shop before the Comic-Con, GalaxyCon that I was going to up there. Got a little floating head action going on over here. And 12 cent goodness. 34. War in the World of Darkness. I mean, look at this lame villain right here. I mean, he's wearing a kilt, for crying out loud. So this one is the next one that's kind of a little difficult to find in high grade without paying a mint for, and that is X-Men 35, Enter the Spider, but not really Spider-Man. It is like the super changeling or something like that. So he's kind of like Morph. He's not really Spider-Man. And it's compliments, got a stamp right up here, compliments of something or another. But paid about $30 for this off of eBay. Then we got X-Men 36. Bought this at a Comic Con. Supposedly it's signed by Roy Thomas. Paid right about $90 for this. Needed the comic anyway. I didn't buy it for the signature, but as you might already know, I do like signatures and did not have a Roy Thomas signature. So I was like, hey, I want it anyway. It's in a grade that's I'm okay with, and it's got a signature. Then it becomes a no-brainer. 37. The X-Men on trial for treason against Homo Superior. Only paid $10 for it. And at the same comic shop up in Kentucky. Yeah, 38. The Blob. He just wants a hug. Angel won't give him a hug. What is wrong with Angel? And of course, there's the Vanisher. Paid $30. We got 39. So this one is a little more value on it because this is the first new costume issue. Instead of all wearing yellow and black, they all get their own costume. In 40, the X-Men meet Frankenstein. Enough said. And so they thought that Frankenstein might be a mutant. Come to find out, he wasn't even Frankenstein. He wasn't a monster. He was a robot. Spoiler alert! X-Men, in these next few issues, they went through this origins and stuff, and so this is the origin of Cyclops, as well as Now Strikes the Subhuman. X-Men 41. I was kind of disappointed on this. I bought this off eBay, and I didn't notice the tear, like a tape pull or something up here, because it kind of blended in with the Comic Code Authority up there. And then we got the death of Professor X. Spoiler alert, he's not really dead. As a matter of fact, this one wasn't even Professor X. It was somebody, I don't know if it was actually Morph or, but it was somebody that was able to look like Professor X. And he gets killed, and floating heads, no, Professor X. Ah! Okay. We got the power of Magneto. And if that's not Jack Kirby, it was somebody trying to imitate those big giant Kirby hands. The Red Raven, and the X-Men featuring the Angel in X-Men 44. In X-Men 45, the senses-shattering Cyclops when mutants clash. And got a nice date stamped, just not interfering with nothing, but front and center. April the 17th, 1968. Then we got X-Men 46, the end of the X-Men. Again, spoiler alert, they don't really end. Got this one on the cheap for like $20 down there in a comic shop I don't really frequent because they're really pricey. So I was really surprised. I thought there was really something wrong, but really clean for what little they want to charge for it. Then we got X-Men 47, picked this up for $25. X-Men featuring the Beast and Iceman, and they fight Mahayogi. Yeah, you guessed it. 48, Marvel Girl and Cyclops fight What's in the Hive. X-Men 48. And then X-Men 49 is the first Jim Steranko cover. And I bought this with the anticipation of meeting Jim Steranko in January, which I did. But this comic was late being mailed out. And so I contacted the guy and was like, hey, you haven't mailed the comic? Oh, yeah, I'm going to get around to it. It comes the day I was at the con. So I get home having met Jim Steranko, and because I wanted to get this one and the next two, which were done by him. signed. However, I was not able to because that scumbag, you know what? He got low ratings just for that. Just for that. Because he didn't even, when I said something about it, I was like, hey, I want to get it. Oh, that's cool. I was kind of wanting, some sympathy here. So yeah, that one is not signed, but that is the first Steranko cover. Now, the more famous of the Steranko 3, the X-Men, is this one, first appearance of Polaris. Picked this up in Louisville, Kentucky, with the anticipation of getting it signed, and I did. As you notice, he signed it right here, and you'll notice that the logo's changed. The logo that most people know of the X-Men, Jim Steranko, at least he says, and this story tells everybody he created. And it started in X-Men 50. Recently got a copy of this for much cheaper than what I paid for this, because I paid like $70, really overpaid for it. But got a copy, probably a better copy for like $25 on IG. Of course, this is not signed, and the history of the story as I got him to get him to sign it. He signs it all of them in the same place. X-Men 51, Eric the Red, got Steranko to sign that one as well. And then Eric the Red in X-Men 52, got this one for $20. Come to find out, it's not really Eric the Red, it's Cyclops masquerading as Eric the Red. Later on, they'd find out that there really was an Eric the Red. Then we got X-Men 53. This is the first Barry Windsor Smith art. Bought this at Bob's Comics down in Birmingham, Alabama. Really nice guy. Been doing this for an awful long time. He's got a big plethora of back issues. Only paid $18 for it because it's got an ad cut out. So some kid thought it was a great idea to mail off something. They probably thought they were going to be a millionaire or something. We got X-Men 54. Cyclops must die. He might, but he'll be back. Then we got X-Men 55, some more Barry Windsor Smith goodness on the cover there. Then we got X-Men 56. What is the power? The Living Monolith, I believe. This is a Neil Adams cover. Later on, it'd be cover swiped by John Byrne, where the Phoenix is grabbing the X-Men logo like that. But 56. Then we got 57. The Sentinels live. I don't know if that's really technically true. They're not really alive, but hey, the Sentinels are back, and you're gonna be in trouble. That's right. With X-Men 57. Then in X-Men 58, first appearance of Havoc. If you watched my video on CGC and the rant on that, I would not have, if I'd known then what I know now, I would not have pressed this and sent it off. I only paid $20 for the comic. It had some dog ears all down here. They pressed it out. Took them 4 or 5 months before I got it back, and they detached my cover. And then to make matters worse, they're like, "Well, we have a team of experts, multiple ones that look at it." Okay, great. So multiple people looked at my book, and multiple people tore my cover loose. And so I wouldn't have done that. You live and you learn. And so that's one of those live and you learn experiences. X-Men 59, another Neil Adams cover. Cyclops, the last X-Man, at least for this issue. X-Men 60, The Shadow of Sauron. Sauron, depends on, tomato, potato, right? Paid $40 for that Neil Adams cover. If I hadn't paid Neil Adams like 40, as much as I did, for a signature and a picture and all that kind of stuff. On my Batman stuff, I probably would have picked this cover to get him a sign page there. Then we got X-Men 60. That's right, you're not seeing double. This is a JCPenney reprint. So back in the 90s, they had all these mystery boxes, and you would send them off, and this is what this got reprinted and put into. I bought that recently off of IG for like $10. X-Men 61. They Take to the Skies. Angel versus Sauron. And similar to 60, Got the JCPenney reprint. So for those of you who might be out there looking for a 60 and 61, beware, because sometimes you can get these people on eBay that will pawn this off as a 60 or 61, and you're thinking you're getting this huge deal, or they might even price it like it was a real 60 or 61, only to find out when you got home that it is not indeed. And the way you would know is if you look on the back. The advertisement is a more modern advertisement, so you would know that, hey, they didn't have that back in the 60s when this was originally printed. So X-Men 62. This is another Neil Adams cover. First appearance of Amphibious, Equilibrius, Lupo, Bobbers, Gazer, Piper, Brainchild. These are all Savage Land folks. Kazar and Zabu. Cover appearance and a Magneto appearance. November of 1969. Got an 8.0. Cream to off-white pages. Then we got X-Men 63. Another Neil Adams cover and the first appearance of Laura Lee. The Triumph of Magneto. That's how Magneto laughed in the game back in the day. But I don't know if he laughs like that now. He might have got over that little villain laugh. He's an anti-hero after all. So then we got X-Men 64. I believe this is the first appearance of Sunfire. Sunfire was one of the new X-Men that came out in Giant Size X-Men 1. Some of them were first appearances back then, like Nightcrawler and Storm and all those. But Sunfire was one of the ones that had been throughout the books. And, of course, he quit the team after rescuing them from Krakoa. Then we got X-Men 65. I got this again from Bob's Comics for $15. And Slay, get him, Cyclops, it's up to you and Iceman now. Yeah, so the whoever this guy is, he just pimp slapped Angel. It's like, get out of here, ho. Pow. And then we got X-Men 66. This is them versus the Hulk. And this is the last issue before they go into reprints. And so the covers all change, but the stories remain the same all the way up to Giant Size X-Men #1. So we got X-Men 67, fighting the Juggernaut. It's $20. Then we got 68, which is a reprint of 15. So the cover is very similar there. Then we got 69. So some of these, they barely change the cover up. And some people, when they're collecting their Uncanny X-Men, they don't go for the reprints, even though I do. This is X-Men 70. I believe this is 16, 17. It was a red cover. I like the original one better. X-Men 71, where he was fighting Lucifer. X-Men 72, Super Adaptoid. We got 73, the man called El Tigre. Si, senor. Si, senor. I'm going to whoop you now. We got 74. Your eye beams are no match for my amulet, Cyclops. I will kill you all. Diabolical laugh. Cue it up. $20. $75 or $75. 75th issue of X-Men, and that's when the Mimic comes back. Picked this up in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and X-Men 76. This is the first appearance of Banshee, a reprint of that. 77, fight the Super Adaptoid. So I only paid $7 for it. 78, the Menace of Merlin. Merlin. He's a warlock, I'm assuming. 79, Cobalt Man. This is a really clean copy. Yeah, it's a really clean copy. Black. Really no color breaking spine tags. I was really pleased with that one. And then X-Men 80. I wish I could remember the seller's name. I picked this up in January at a Comic-Con. This was one of the latter ones I got. And it's got a manufacturer's defect right there. But other than that, a really clean copy of this, and paid $40 for it. And so it's a big seller too. For the life of me, can't remember his name. I'll probably remember when I'm not trying to. And then 81. Floating. And 82 with Kilt Man. I'm just joking, that's not really his name. 83. And of course, I paid $20 for this, so it's a better copy than the the original issue, but it's still pretty pricey. Just because it's got Spidey on that, yes. 84, Meccano Lives. 85. So you see that most of these, they just changed the covers up a little bit, try to resell them, because the X-Men were not large sellers back then. This is 86. And I got this, I don't know what it means, if anything, but I picked this up offline. And the copy of as part of a one-owner high-grade organ collection found only at Kermit's Pad, apd.net. So I don't know if that means that we get some kind of special label if I were to slab it. X-Men 87, the Change of Costumes reprint. 88 with the Frankenstein issue. 89, where they fight the Subhuman. I like the red cover better. 90 with the faux death of Professor X. 91, Magneto. 92 with the Red Raven. And 93. And so the next issue was going to be Giant Size X-Men #1, and then that's when everything changed, right? They went to actually having new stories again. X-Men became hot sellers, and the rest, as they say, is history. Interesting story about this particular issue. I was at a Comic-Con in the last year, and I was talking to a guy, and he said, I remember seeing this comic on the newsstand, and I was reading it, and on the back it says the next issue, The Avengers. And so they were just steadily doing the reprint thing, and he's like, oh cool, you know, they're going to fight the Avengers. And then X-Men 94 or Giant Size X-Men came out, and he goes, this ain't the Avengers, I don't want this crap, and didn't buy Giant Size X-Men #1 for that reason. So he said, I've been kicking myself ever since. And of course, everything changed with Giant Size X-Men #1, and then they come back with the new team in 94 and continue on. So that's where we're going to stop with this first video. Tell me what you think. Give me any kind of ideas that you might have. And do you enjoy watching this video? If you do, be sure to smash that like button, share it so that we can get closer to the 400 subscribers and I can give away some more comics. I do appreciate you taking time to look at my collection as we plunder through it. And some of the other videos will probably do more than 100. There's less stories, if you were, with some of the other comics as what they are with some of the older ones. But nevertheless, I do appreciate you watching. And until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.